Hi there, this is CS Professor Pam of Jumpstart Code with our last lesson in our HTML for Beginners series. We have been working through the content in Interneting is Hard, and we are currently finishing up the chapter on links and images. There's some additional kind of miscellaneous content here at the end that we want to go through just to wrap things up. So what we have done so far is we have created a project folder called Links and Images. Inside of it, we have several HTML pages, and we've got some pictures there. And the way it works right now, so here is the images page, and it has links to a page about links. We can go to a page, our images page. We have a page about extras, which is what we're about to put some things in right now. So let's talk about a few kind of miscellaneous things here, but they're still important things for you to know. So every web page needs to specify the language that it is using. And that should be done in the HTML element with an attribute called lang. And then you specify the language that you're using. Now, as you can tell, because we haven't been putting this in yet, this works without it. But if you are actually dealing with a different language, then it's going to be very important to put that in. So that goes in the HTML tag as an attribute. I'm going to copy it and put it on all my pages. So this is my links. Let's go to my extras. Again, it goes in the HTML tag. And here's my images page. Right? I'm going to save all. And you'll see it's not going to make any difference because that was kind of our default anyway. But that's an important attribute to know about, particularly if you're dealing with websites in other languages. All right, and if you need to know the language that you want to use, the code, you can look it up there. Again, it's always very useful to have this reference to for information, developer.mozilla.org. And anytime you want to look up something, like if I wanted to look up that language attribute here, then I could look it up. We could specify lang, and here we go. And we can get some more information about that here. All right. Somewhat similar is the character set. It's kind of like the digital alphabet for your browser. If you are working in other foreign languages, then there are other characters that have to be specified. So now I want to show you something here because, things change on the internet constantly. And so I'm going to take this code here. This code is to try to demonstrate why you need this charset attribute. But let's add this in. It says let's copy and paste some international characters into our extras page. So what this is supposed to be, what this is the numbers 1 through 5 written out in the Turkish language. So I'm going to go into my extras page, and I've just copied that text. So I am going to paste it here. All right, so you see here, we've got an H2, we've got a paragraph, and then we've got an ordered list that will specify these numbers, right? So now let's save this page and see what we get. So I need to go to my extras page. All right, so let's compare that with what this document is saying. It's saying when you view it, you'll see some strange stuff on the numbers 3, 4, and 5. But that's not what we're seeing here. We're actually seeing them shown correctly. And that's because this charset, this UTF-8 charset, is actually now the default for HTML5. However, it is important to be familiar with that and to know what it is and to know where to put it. And so I'm going to take this code and I'm going to put it. This is like information that helps the browser know how to interpret what's in the content in the body. So it goes in the head section in a meta tag and with the attribute charset, right? So we'll see that actually does not change this at all. So this works with or without specifying charset H, but it's still a very important thing that you should put. Even though it's become sort of universal, it should be in all of your pages. So I really should take that line of code here and copy that and put that here in images and also in links. All right. The last thing that they're talking about here are entities. So sometimes there are characters that have to basically be encoded. And an example would be the less than, the greater than, because those characters typically refer to or what you use to create a tag. So we've got to have a way basically to specify that I want this character, not that this is a part of a tag that I'm creating. And the way that is specified is with something called an entity, and they always start with an ampersand and they end with a semicolon. Because of that, the ampersand character itself is kind of special, right? So I'm going to take this code and put it in my extras page. So here's my extras page. Just going to put it down here. Let's take a look at it before we open it up. It says there are 3 reserved characters in HTML. So do you see what we have here? Ampersand LT semicolon. Think of this as a special code that represents the less than sign. Then ampersand GT semicolon, that's greater than. Ampersand amp, that's the ampersand sign, right? So if I save this and we see what we have here, you see there are 3 reserved characters in HTML. So here, this is what gets displayed for ampersand LT semicolon, right? So we have the less than, we have the greater than, and we have the ampersand. And there are a number of these entities that you can use. So here's some examples. So all kinds of special characters. If you need, for example, the sign for euros or pounds or something like that. If I want a fraction, for example, here, ampersand frac 1/4. So if I take that, if I put that in here, oops, ampersand. And you see the color coding there? That's what tells me that this is basically like a special keyword, right? So do you see here? That's how we got the 1/4 that is showing on this line. So it's just a way to basically encode some special characters. Also, you need to be a little mindful of quotes sometimes. There are some different types of quotes, the curly quotes. And if you need those, they have special entities as well. All right. So that is the end of our basic HTML concepts here. We've learned quite a few important attributes, but the main thing that is really important is this template that you should just set up and use every time you make a page. You start with doc type HTML, then you've got your HTML tag where you should specify the language. You've got your head section and your body section that are inside of the HTML section. In the head section, you should specify your UTF-8 charset, and you usually have a title, and then the rest of your content goes in the body section. Now, so far we have a page, we have content, but it's kind of boring, right? It's not particularly pretty. So obviously with web pages, you want them to be visually appealing. And that means we need to use colors and different fonts and layout situations. And all of that is going to be done with another language, which is called CSS. So make sure to stay tuned for another set of videos that I will be doing that will continue with the next chapter here and start explaining the fundamentals of CSS.